Well, it took years of planning, an 8-month space flight, and finally today, 7 minutes of nail-biting uncertainty. But tonight, the $2.5 billion Mars Science Laboratory is safely resting on the edge of a Martian meteorite crater. It heralds the beginning of a new chapter in space exploration, and Australian astronomers played a role. Adam Harvey filed this report.
Touchdown confirmed. We're safe on Mars.
The culmination of an 8.5-month mission and the start of a new one.
Time to see where our curiosity will take us.
This was the type of space mission that makes getting man to the moon look simple. The first 567 million kilometres were no piece of cake, but the really hard part was the last 7 minutes.
The event we're going to see tonight is probably the hardest thing we've tried, certainly at Mars, maybe the hardest thing we've tried in any robotic spacecraft. So that means the outcome is uncertainty.
NASA's experts had to slow the Mars Science Laboratory spacecraft from 21,000 kilometres an hour to standstill. Once it punched through Mars' thin atmosphere, the spacecraft deployed the strongest set of brakes ever made, a supersonic parachute. Then, more rockets. And finally, a gentle descent via a sky crane. It was all so complex that NASA said it was ready to fail.
If we have a failure, we're going to have to take some time and figure out what went wrong. But in the sense of exploration, and this is true, throughout history, we'll dust ourselves off, pick ourselves up, and we'll move forward, and we'll be back on Mars.
It made success taste even sweeter.
Today on Mars, history was made on Earth. The successful landing of Curiosity, which is, as Charlie has said, the most sophisticated roving laboratory ever sent to another planet, marks what is really an unprecedented technological tour de force.
Hearts were in mouths from Cape Canaveral to Canberra, where the last crucial moments of the descent were monitored from the Deep Space Communication Complex near Tidbinbilla. At nearby Mount Stromlo, there was another so-called landing party for astronomers who gathered to experience what's described as the 7 minutes of terror. It's a big moment for astronomers like the ANU's Dr. Charlie Lineweaver, a senior fellow at the Planetary Science Institute at Mount Stromlo.
The knowledge that's going to come from this thing is going to be incredible. We're going to be looking at Mars in fine detail. The other rovers were this big and this big, but this rover is this big. And so that's probably a good proxy for the amount of scientific information that will come from this thing.
As the corks pop on Earth, Curiosity's sitting in a 150-kilometre wide depression called the Gale Crater, named for the amateur Australian astronomer Walter Gale, and chosen because there's a good chance that it once held water. And as on Earth, water means the possibility of life.
We are going to have the opportunity for untold discoveries. This location in Gale Crater is absolutely amazing, a place we could never have thought of getting to just a few years ago.
The 6-wheeled robot is a much more advanced version of 3 earlier Mars rovers. It's powered by a nuclear battery, and to the delight of science fiction fans everywhere, it's armed.
Robots in space and a robot with a laser that can zap rocks. It doesn't get any better than that.
Curiosity will be analysing soil and rock for evidence of past life, inside the rocks, beyond the reaches of the sun's pervasive radiation. And there's the slightest chance that the life they find may not be extinguished at all.
Well, I hope Curiosity will find a worm underneath the surface, some type of life that might still be active somewhere in the subsurface, maybe a meter or two underneath the surface. There might still be life there. We're not quite sure. This is the planet where we think that life may have originated on, may still be there. We're not quite sure. But also, it's an interesting fact that it might be the case that we are Martians. Maybe life on Earth came from Mars in the first 500 million years. It could have been scattered to Earth, and then, for all we know, we are Martians.
Getting something as big as Curiosity to the surface of Mars bodes well for the next milestone in space, transporting humans there. That's not so far off. The future astronauts may already have been born.
The first human stepping on Mars will be 40 years from now. 35, I don't know. It depends on the money. It really depends. You need a lot of money to do it, and a lot of will, and it depends on the finances.
At Cape Canaveral, there's a more immediate focus.
The last 8 months and certainly for the 7 minutes of terror, has started to weave, an unbelievable story. As we get ready to transition to surface ops, I think what we really need to pay attention to now is that the Curiosity story is just beginning.
There's something intoxicating about space exploration, isn't there? Adam Harvey reporting.